recording right now. There we go. And again, just welcome you all to Third Saturdays at the Arc, where we're going today to cover fundraising fundamentals. So I'm going to move forward. And by the way, because I think I didn't say this at all, I'm Pastor Victoria Elbers, and I'm the pastor of the Arc International Ministries. This is our agenda for today, just to kind of let you know how we will flow. We, of course, are in the midst of the opening. We are going to pause in just one moment and have our participant introductions. This is going to help us get to know each other. We are very big, especially this year. We are intentionally focusing on collaborations. And so having this time of introduction, finding out who you are, what you're doing in the realm of nonprofit in that arena is going to be very important. But it will also let your presenter, Ms. Douglas, it will let her know today who's in the room, who her audience is. And so when that happens, you're able to kind of sometimes gauge your conversation towards the audience that you have with you today. So we're going to do participant introductions. I'll then introduce our speaker and just hand it away with her. And then as she speaks or after, however she chooses to do, we'll have Q&A with participants. I do actually suggest that when you have a question, when you have a thought, even if you don't ask it verbally, then go ahead and pop it in the chat so we can be sure it's documented, so we can be sure that we get it and that we get it to our speaker. One of the things that we commit to you with any class or presentation that we do is to try and get you the answers that you're looking for. So I say that because sometimes we don't know the answer. Sometimes your presenter doesn't know the answer directly to your question. But our commitment is to get back with you to try and guide you in the direction that you are trying to move in. And so hopefully we can answer every single one of your questions today. But if in fact we cannot, we commit to you to doing what we can, doing a little research, at least trying to provide you some websites, things like that, to get you to where you need to be and to get the answers to you. All right, so we are going to move forward now with our participant introductions. And what we'd like to know from each of you, and I'll just kind of go down our participant list and call your name. We'd like to know who you are. We'd like to know the name of your nonprofit and what your mission and vision is, who it is you're serving. And so just like with any other business, we often say you need to have an elevator speech. And so that means you should be able to tell me, 30, 45 seconds, who you are and what you're doing. So I'm going to give you an example. I'll start with the ARC so you kind of get a feel for what we're looking for. So I'm Pastor Victoria L. Burrs. I am CEO and founder of the ARC International Ministries and the ARC International Corporation, which is our 501 educational corporation. And our mission and vision is to equip leaders and to lead dreamers. All right, I see Janet on. So is it Janet or Jeanette? Just tell me.
It's Janet White.
Janet, nice to meet you, Janet. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Nice to meet you too. Actually, I'm sitting in for my daughter, Dr. Janelle Davison. She has a nonprofit entitled SCORE, where she's, and my other daughter, Dr. Joy Lyons, are interested in introducing young ladies of color to STEM. And they're looking for more ideas for fundraising. And because they had to work today, they called Mama to sit in. So I'm gonna do the best I can to get all the information that they need. I love what they're doing. They plan this all by themselves in 2017 to be encouraging and to get girls more interested in STEM. And the name of their nonprofit is called SCORE, which stands for Successful, Confident, Optimistic, Regal, and Engaging.
Oh my.
Yes, so they've done a lot on their own, and they're also seeking ideas for more fundraising.
Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome and thank you, Mom, for sitting in today. That's quite all right, because nothing we do can we do by ourselves. So you just part of the team.
Yes.
You just part of the team, and that's all
Yes.
right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on today.
Thank you.
Miss Barbara Green, would you please introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what you're doing, and your mission and vision.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Pastor Barbara Green and the Audit. Can y'all hear me okay? I'm sorry.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, sorry about that. Yes, my name is Pastor Barbara Green, and I am the founder of By Faith Global Ministry here in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as in Mississippi. And the mission, excuse me, is to support the members of our community in their time of needs and to work towards a great good. We are tirelessly in our effort to feed the hungry, clothe the poor, to just whatever the needs are in the community, to reach out to them, as well as doing evangelizing, training, as well as getting ready as well to just do some training, for, educating those that are in the community. And this is one of the things that God has called me to do in this area.
Awesome. Awesome. We love it. Thank you, Pastor Barbara.
You're welcome.
We now have Miss Faye Edwards. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you. My name is Faye Edwards, and my nonprofit that I haven't established yet is to empower young ladies, to empower girls to live a more fulfilled life, to grow them in their self-esteem, their self-confidence, their self-love, their body image, to be health conscious, just the whole girl, nourishing the whole girl to grow into beautiful and influential, empowered women.
Amen. Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Faye.
Thank you for having me.
All right. I see Miss June Jackson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for being a part of this auspicious group of ladies and the actual background of the organization that Pastor Bruce has been going through. I have been going through last night. I didn't get much sleep because I wanted to read up more about the organization, what it involves, because I'm the executive director of the God Center, an acronym that means Gilbert Agricultural and Rural Development Center. And our vision at the center is a sustainable organization through which we develop young men and women, empowering them to improve their standard of living. And we have a vision that says providing training that facilitate the development of these young people through life skills, agriculture, entrepreneurship, technical, vocational, and business development services. And we have been in existence for the past 31 years. We celebrated 31 years last year, November. And we have been an organization who is passionate about fundraising for non-governmental organizations, non-profit organizations, because, funding tends to be a very, very critical role in what a non-profit organization does. And when you don't have funding, you know how that can play out itself. So I'm happy to be here. So I'm willing to learn from all the ladies. I can impart whatever experience we have had and how it would benefit others globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Wow, you said 31 years.
31 years.
Oh my gosh, my gosh. And June, you are in the West Indies, is that right?
That's right, Antigua and Barbuda.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So welcome. We were chatting last night and I said, well, what's your time zone over there? Because, I hate to have anybody trying to get up at 2 and 3 in the morning. It's funny trying to figure out the best times for things. And when people are joining from other states and from other countries. So we did pretty good. They're just an hour ahead of us, right, June?
That's right. That's right.
Yes, good. So we did pretty good.
Definitely.
Well, thank you. And I feel like I just want to say congratulations for 30-something years.
Thank you very much.
And what you're doing in the community. I absolutely love it. So thank you for joining us.
My
All
pleasure.
right. I see Karen on this morning. Karen, please introduce yourself. and make sure that you unmute.
She may be having some issues, but I'm just going to tap in real quick and say that's my mom, my support system, my encourager, my cheerleader, my everything. That's who Karen is. And she's also, she doesn't have a nonprofit, but she has a boutique as well as a business, Classy KD's Productions, which is a Caribbean inspired production company.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Shout out to the moms, right? Shout out to the moms. Awesome, awesome. All right, very good. Pastor Linda Edmondson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello, I am Pastor Linda Edmondson. I'm the founder of Go Ye Therefore Outreach Ministry, where we are assisting single parent family and children to be all that God has intended for them to be. We have only been in existing for not quite a year yet, but we are serving single parent families, whether it be male or female. And we are here to just find out a little bit more. As Pastor said, we were one of the organizations at one point funding out of our pockets, but we're here to know how to do some great fundraising that will help and give us an opportunity to serve the community even better.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Pastor Linda.
You're welcome.
I see Miss Nakia Watson. Welcome, Nakia.
Good morning and greetings from the islands of the Bahamas. My name is
morning.
Nakia Watson, and my organization is called MAP, and that stands for the Mammogram Access Program. And I don't know if you know anything about where I'm from, but we just are coming out of Dorian and now COVID-19. Our unemployment rate here in this country is well beyond 50%, and the women here struggle to get basic health care, including mammography. And this is a struggle because we have one of the highest rates of cancer in the world. And so our program is here to increase the rate of screening mammograms, just screening, because we find that most people discover that they have cancer when it's far too late and they're very young. I'm talking about in their 30s. Okay. Another pillar of our organization is to remove the financial restrictions that are keeping women from seeking the screening mammograms. Okay. And we also want to increase the amount of qualified, trained mammographers. Currently, I'm the only certified mammographer in the northern Bahamas. And I want to change that. We have a lot of mammographers working, but they haven't gone through the right program, and they don't have any certification. Like back in the United States, you have the AART. They don't have that. There is no certification here in the Bahamas to ensure that people are trained in this field. The next thing that I would like to tackle is legislation. We want to get in there. All right. There is nothing in the Bahamas governing how we practice, meaning that you would find women going to get a mammogram and they won't get a report for 6 months, a year, if they get it at all.
Wow.
So all of these things are what MAP is here to do and to change so that women can be serviced in this realm a lot better than they've been getting. We're finding that women are dying very young and leaving small children behind, and it's causing a whole ripple effect on our society. That is the purpose of MAP, and I'm just happy that you guys are letting me sit among you and learn from you. I'm just happy to be here.
Wow. So you know that was like a mouthful, Nakia.
You said elevator.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I don't mean it in that way. I mean, it was eye-opening. That's really what I mean, what you shared with us this morning, because I think, and I don't want to say this for everybody, but let me just speak for myself. Sometimes we hear about the Bahamas and we hear about Barbados, and at least here, our mind just goes to vacation and resorts and the beach and the beauty. Our minds don't necessarily go to the people, to the country, to the area, and understand what it is outside of tourism. And it was my connection with Dr. Anastasia that first began to open my eyes because of what went on with Dorian and her actually sharing, where her home was and where her family's home was and what the state was and how exactly what you said, just kind of coming out of that and then into COVID, how it has impacted this area that in our minds is just somewhere that we go to vacation. So you have shed a whole nother light on just kind of some of the challenges, and particularly challenges that women still face, sometimes unfairly and disproportionately, because I think all over the world, we're still dealing with also inequities in that realm. So hats off to you and what you're doing. I'm so glad that you're here with us today, and able to gain whatever it is that you can gain from Anita this morning that might be helpful to what you're doing over there in the Bahamas, as well as you, Pastor Linda, here with single parent families, and all of you that are on the line. So absolutely awesome. I'm gonna go on down. We got a few more. Thank you all again for joining and for going through this most important part. Let me say this too, that while we're doing this, please be sure that in the chat you put your contact information and your website. We just want to be sure again that all of that is just kind of documented for us. And we want to be able to reach out to you and share amongst one another. There may be interest in collaborating. And so even as people put their information and websites in chat, if you see someone that you know you're interested in collaborating with, don't hesitate, grab that website, send them some email, connect as soon as possible. All right, Miss Patricia Mahone, welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm Patricia Mahone, the founder and owner of Hidden Gems Consulting, but I also am a board member of Go Ye Therefore Outreach Ministry. And I'm here today not only to learn how to, I did try to fund my own nonprofit before, self-fund, and it was a disaster. So now I'm trying to learn how to do fundraising for not only Go Ye Therefore, but some of my other clients that are coming in to start nonprofits.
Awesome. Thank you, Pat. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Miss Koala, good morning. Koala Davis. Okay, I'm going to go a little further and then I'm going to come back to Koala. We have T. Murphy as a guest this morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hey, awesome. Hey, so don't have a nonprofit. I'm also here in support of Anita. But just a little bit about me. I am a finance professional in the mortgage space. My mission is to change the face of home ownership in the in minority communities, as well as increase access to credit-based capital for investing and collateral-based acquisitions in that realm as well. So I deal with commercial as well as residential acquisition. So just here in support, but I hope to gain something from the call as well.
Yeah, thank you. And listen, especially when we talk about, I know with Pastor Linda and perhaps also with June, because they're assisting people often involves the need for shelter and moving towards home ownership if home ownership is not where they are now. So I just want to put that out there. So if there are those of you here and know that this potential is a part of your program, then that makes Mr. Murphy someone, you just want to make note of, grab his information, contact information out of the chat, again, because it's always about collaboration, right? Always about collaboration. So thank you for joining, Mr. Murphy. We appreciate you. Taisha Kennedy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is
morning.
Taisha Kennedy. I do not have no nonprofit. I'm just here to learn and grow and take some notes and just listening and to support, really. So just want to say good morning.
Well, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for joining. And Ms. Kennedy also provided a scholarship to our program on today. And so we are grateful that she registered and then sold a scholarship for someone else. And so we are grateful for that. And let me tell you, we believe in that at the ARC. We sow scholarships in ourselves, and it has begun to create a culture of those that come, whether it's to our workshops like this or to yearly, we have a 3-day leader camp, which we focus on all types of things that are pertinent for leaders, whether it's leaders in ministry, in nonprofits, or in business. It's always the third weekend in October. And we just saw an explosion this past year of folks registering and then sowing scholarships into the lives of others. So we are grateful for that. Thank you so much, Taisha, for being here. I think I'm gonna go back and to see, and Kuala, are you on? Just checking one more time. If not, we will try and catch you later, but she is the founder of Girl, You Got This, which is a women's outreach ministry, which is focused on empowering and building up women around the world. All right, we have one more person coming in now. And good morning, we have Fawn joining us. And Fawn, we're just in the midst of introductions. And so you are in just in time because I'm about to introduce our speaker. So if you can unmute, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us about you, your nonprofit, and who you're serving, what your mission and vision is. So we're calling on Fawn.
Good morning.
Good morning. You got perfect timing.
Oh, that's the Holy Spirit. I was finishing up my podcast and blog, and I was like, oh, let me hurry up and get on, Lord. Don't let me miss anything. But my name is Fun Strong James, and I am the founder of Encouragement Inc. Discovery and Educational Center. To be honest with you, my mission is still in development, but I know that it's all about being able to help others learn how to write, so that they can write the vision and make it plain. And I know that I'm supposed to educate from a kingdom perspective. So that's kind of where I am right now. This has really made me realize that I need to come up with my 30-second how to explain my nonprofit. But
we had all kind of hidden motives when we do these kind of things.
Listen,
but
okay.
You did good. You did good.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. All right, we're going to move forward. Thank you, everyone, for introducing. Again, I want to remind you, please go into the chat, put your contact information, your website, so that we know how to reach out to you, and so that we can actually, I'm sorry, went a little further on that, so that we can actually be able to reach out to you so that you can connect with one another. All right. Okay, we're going to move forward. I want to take a moment to introduce our speaker. This is Miss Anita Douglas. She is a nonprofit consultant, a professional, and does a myriad of other things that I'm going to be for sure asking her to share today. Let me share a little bit from her bio. Crowns aren't made of rhinestones. They're made of discipline, determination, and a hard-to-find alloy called courage. This is a quote by Tessa Ridley, and this is how she starts off her bio. And that in and of itself tells me she knows that we set out to create missions and visions, but then you got to work that thing. You got to do what comes next to make it possible. So Anita understands the power of leaders walking boldly with a crown. As an encourager of confidence, growth, determination, and faith, she is committed to imparting this energy to those around her and making a positive impact in her community and beyond. Anita is the founder and CEO of Crown Innovative Business Solutions, a virtual assistant company committed to providing support to professionals and leaders as they move to next levels in their companies, their careers, and personal goals. CIBS, or Crown Innovation Business Solution, focuses on a culture of innovation, curiosity, compassion, and transparency, values that are important to Anita both professionally and personally. And I will just put in here, so many times we are looking to build our teams. We are in need of additional help, sometimes temporarily for a short period or ongoing until we're able to hire staff. And so dealing with an organization, a company like CIBS, and hiring virtual assistants is an option I think we need to all be more open to. I've just recently ended a stint with a virtual assistant, and it was just the best thing I could have ever done. I put off doing it for a while, but as a leader, you all already know your hands are full. And whether sometimes it's just getting a little extra research done, having somebody attend to a few projects that have been on your plate for too long, it is beneficial to consider working with the virtual assistant. So I know that she will share a little bit about that later, but I wanted to just share because I have personal experience there, and I will be engaging again. So something to just keep in mind as you all are moving forward. Anita obtained a Bachelor's of Science in Human Services and a Master of Public Administration from Kennesaw. Out of her passion for being an advocate for children, she also has a certificate in child advocacy studies and is certified as a court-appointed special advocate, or CASA, including advocating for children and families with the Division of Family and Children's Services. In addition to operating and building the foundational of CIBS, she's Vice President of Development and Marketing for Scottsdale Early Learning, where she's responsible for growing and developing the fundraising operations of this organization. In this role, she coordinates both marketing and resource development opportunities that include individual, foundation, government, and parent fundraising initiatives. She works with the board of directors, organizational leadership, and stakeholders to discover opportunities. So nonprofits and philanthropy is a focus for Anita. She believes in community and supporting organizations with vision and purpose. She received her credentialing as a certified nonprofit professional, and she uses her knowledge of the nonprofit industry to make impact in organizations where she serves. She's passionate to giving back to her community and a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, AKA sorority, as well as the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Inc. She is the chair of Ambassadors of Cobb County's CASA board and has served as the sponsorship chair for the Association of Fundraising Professionals, the Greater Atlanta chapter, and also served as the sponsorship chair for National Philanthropy Day. So I hope one of the things that you see, even from her bio, is that she's just not talking about what you should do, but she's doing what all of you all need to do in one way or the other. And I think all of that together with her experience, her education, with her heart, because I've known her for so long. And as you can see, she's just a beauty. And so we are glad, we are glad to see her as a beautiful, fierce African-American woman, really representing in our community and here to help and engage. So I am not going to hesitate anymore. I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to welcome Miss Anita Douglas, our presenter for today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And good morning, everyone. I had to sit back for just 5 seconds. I know I'm the one that sent you the bio, but I was like, wait a minute, me? So I am really grateful, for one, that you extended this opportunity to me. It was a blessing to also just hear how many different people on this webinar this morning are serving in so many different capacities. You guys are the change agents. You are the ones that are going to be able to move the agendas of this world forward, not only for the generations here, but the ones that are to come. And I am so beyond passionate about helping and serving you all. I know that we went through my bio, but myself, I am a benefactor of a nonprofit, and that is what drove my passion coming up. I actually was raised mainly in a single parent household, and the exposure that the very first nonprofit that I encountered at, I think probably about age 13, that was enough to help me to see beyond the circumstances of my family and where we were, and help me to see just more in life. And so for me, I committed, as I continue to grow and as this organization continued to give back to me as I got older, went on to college, and even moved and transitioned to Georgia, I committed that I would do everything that I can to be able to serve, to be able to give back, and to be able to help those who are committed to helping others. So I feel just truly honored and blessed to be here today. And I think it was very helpful to know where everyone is in their nonprofit journey today, because it is going to help me a little bit. I know I created the presentation and it's a little bit high level because we did say that we're going to talk about the fundamentals of this process, but there are a few additional things that I'll interject to be able to help those that are probably a little bit earlier in their journey, or those that are later in their journey that probably never even thought of fundraising in this kind of way. And so if you just give me a moment, I'll go ahead and share my screen. All righty, let me move this Zoom thing here. And so here are a few questions that I'll be able to answer today. And I know that Pastor Victoria mentioned that if you have questions to go ahead and put it in the chat, please go ahead and put it in the chat. And then once we, if it's relevant to the slide, Pastor Victoria, I'm okay with answering it. And if not, if they come in after I've already moved on, let's go ahead and save it until the end. Thank you. All righty. So here are the questions that I'll be answering today, at least with my presentation. Where should I start? What are the different ways to get funding for a nonprofit? What is usually required for grants? I know that even in coming into this webinar today, I know the focus, a lot of people want to know about grants, but there are things that you have to have in place to be able to submit grants as well. How do I know if I qualify for a grant? And what should I know about a fundraising plan? Is there some sort of system or a process that I could follow? And so for starters, I'm going to ask, what's your case? And so today, Pastor Victoria asked you for your elevator pitch. But in this space, in fundraising, there is a document that is compiled that we call a case statement. And that is pretty much your elevator pitch on steroids. And so it's a lot more information that is included in this. This case statement allows you to elaborate on that elevator pitch that you have already comprised. So your mission and vision, if you haven't already thought about that, this is a good time in embarking upon your fundraising journey. What is it that you set out that you want to achieve? Okay, so we're working on your mission. Where do you want to go? Your history. What caused you to start this nonprofit? Your goals, your objectives, the specific outcomes, and then reasons why someone might give. And so for the organization in which I am the VP of Development and Marketing for, in this area, we also put in different data, research, and statistics that we compile to be able to add to this area. Also, even testimonials or stories from the different people that you may have served, or people that are currently in this situation now. What work did you do to really understand that what you're doing is a need? And so these are the things that you want to compile in your case statement. And there are templates that are available online, but these are the core elements. And so different templates that you may pick up, they may even be able to break them down even more. But again, think about it as your extended version of your elevator pitch. And then for this, you could also, when you think about all the different things that you'll be doing in the journey of your nonprofit, you'll have to continue to speak to different people. And just like on this call, we did the elevator pitch, but someone else may say, we're going to give you a whole session, a whole segment to talk to us about your nonprofit. This case statement, this document that you've already compiled, you probably even put it in a presentation, you could continue to be able to reuse the same content for different purposes because it's the same information that you'll be speaking to. And that goes for your grants as well. So we've used our internal case statement document to pull different pieces of information to be able to plug into different grants. And that makes that process just a little bit easier for you. Well, a lot easier for you, because with a lot of grants, every grant is different, but certain questions are the same. So everyone is going to want to understand at least what is your mission, your vision, and what you're setting out to accomplish. And then it makes it even stronger when you could say, you could give data, facts to back up what it is that you're talking about and why there is a need, or even if you have a strong story to tell. And so instead of always having to rewrite this, or, you could have this information already documented in a place stored on your computer to be able to just pull the information. And later on, I'll be able to tell you how, if you have this document, how even my services, my virtual assistant company could possibly even help you in that way. Sources of giving. So I know a lot of times when we think about fundraising, we think about grants, but grants are only a portion of the fundraising circle. And when we take a look at it here, when you apply for grants, you generally apply to foundations and corporations. And if you take a look here, foundations only comprise of 17% of this whole giving circle. Bequest giving, that's planned giving. So, people arranging to make gifts before they pass on. And then corporations, they're only 5%. And then for individuals, they're 69%. And so this chart that you're looking at, this is from the Giving USA. Every year they put together a report that fundraisers, they're always looking forward to see. They usually release it like in the end of May or June to tell you about giving trends for the year before. And so we don't have 2020 yet, and I'm sure that individuals will still be in the lead. And that has been the trend ever since I've been looking at the Giving USA reports. But this is the report from 2019. And before I actually go on from here, after hearing just a little bit more about who we have on the call, knowing that 69% of the giving is from individuals, what I want to say to you based off of what I know and based off of the data is try to get to the individuals. I'm not discrediting anything else, but if you don't have a plan for getting funds or donations from the individuals, you're missing out on a whole part of this pie. And so what I would say to do is to think about relationships. That's what I do. In everything that I do, be intentional. And in working with individuals, you have to be just a little bit more intentional, because everything may not be out on a silver platter, like I'll explain to you a little bit later. You can find information about foundations, corporations, but when it comes to individuals, those are through relationships. So getting to know people and getting to know the people that you know. And so even if you're a nonprofit, if you have a nonprofit, you may, if you don't already have a board, you may be developing a board. I would say think strategically about who you decide to place on the board of your organization, because if we're thinking about individuals, that's where it starts. It starts with the people that are closest to your organization. And so your board members, not only can they contribute to your fund, but there are some for some nonprofits, they have it in place where board members can give and get, or give or get. So the person may not necessarily have the capacity to give a certain amount throughout the year. However, they can get that amount from other people. And so this helps to maximize the efforts of the organization, and your message and your reach goes that much further. And so I would say, just from knowing and hearing who we have on the call, be very strategic about the people that you placed on your board, because those are the individuals that are directly connected to your organization. And so I know that a question earlier was, prior to me putting together the presentation, was about the grants process. And so if you decide to do grants, I will start by preface this by saying that no, there's not a standard attachment list for grants. Every grant is different, no matter the amount. So all large grants aren't going to ask for the same things. All smaller grants aren't going to all ask for the same things. However, here are some that I've crossed on most of the grants that I've completed. They've asked for a different variation of these documents here. So your IRS letter of determination, so that's your 501c3 letter, an overview of your organization. And again, this is something, if you did your case statement, you would have that there already, but if not, you should have some sort of overview of your nonprofit. The 990, this is a document that is filed to the IRS each year, which talks about your mission, vision, and your financials and different things like that. Your board list. So this is the list of people that are on your board. And one thing about, just like I mentioned before about your board and giving, some go as far to ask, what percent does your board give to your fundraising efforts? And what percent of your board is actually giving on an annual basis? And so going back to what I said before, be mindful of the people that you have on your board. Your budget. So usually it's for the current fiscal year. The project proposal. And so we have organizations with different arms, different projects and programs going on. And when you're applying for a grant, some fund general operations and they have different specific things that they fund. But if it's a project, they want to know about the organization, but they want to understand, what is this project that you're asking us to fund? Tell us a little bit more about it. Or even some may fund something that you're trying to create. Your audit. And this is for the last 2 fiscal year. And again, not every grant asks for the audit. And some of them, they may ask for different things based on the amount of your expenses for the year. Okay. And so my organization's budget it exceeds 2 million. And so usually they always ask for a budget for the organization that I do fundraising for. A strategic plan, and this is a good document to have to help you to be able to plan strategically. If you don't already have one, there are different templates as well online for this. Georgia Center of Nonprofits is a good resource to help. I know they usually pull together different classes that help people to put together their strategic plan. There are also consultants that help with that, but that it's just like a business plan for the entire organization. Program or project overview, your program or project budget. So we talked about a budget before, but that was the entire organization. And the place that you are applying to, they may want to know how much does it take to really cover the program or project that you're applying for funding for. Proof of other funding sources. So they want to know if are they the only ones funding you? And not only that, I know that Pastor Victoria mentioned collaborations. There are grants that want to know what are you doing to collaborate in the community. So they say, who are your partners? Who are your what collaborations did you have within the past year? And again, none of this is standard for every grant, but be mindful of these things as you're thinking about your own strategy for your nonprofit. Okay. Giving priority. So one of the questions that I said that I will answer is, how do I know if I qualify for a grant? If you take a look at this little screen here, most of the organizations or the company or foundation, if they have a website, they will list specifically what their giving priorities are. It may not always say giving priority per se, but it may say guidelines, eligibility, what we do not fund. And that is the area that you want to focus in on. So this particular, and this is a real website, when I went in to look at the giving priorities, it lists specifically the program areas that they fund, the state that they serve, and geographic limitations. And so when you get to the point of saying, what will disqualify me from a grant, or why didn't I get the grant? Did you take a look at what they fund? Do you align well with the things that they're funding? Not because an organization has money, that doesn't mean that they're going to fund your mission. No matter how compelling it is, if it doesn't align with their giving priorities, it may not help you with moving forward with getting funding. And I would say that may be the same in some way as well for individuals, as we're talking about building relationships. If you understand, if you have relationships with people and you know that they come out to support the things that you do, they may align with your mission a little bit. That may be a door to enter. And guess what? Although they don't have a website, maybe you could ask them, what are the things that you like to support? Whether that's financially or even in the volunteer space. So understanding why or what someone gives to will help you in your fundraising efforts as well. And if you don't see it if you're looking for giving priorities for a grant and you don't see it on their website, another place that you could go, which is a place that I go often because like I said before, not every foundation has a website. I go to their 990 because they should all have a 990 filed with the IRS, and that is housed on GuideStar's website. But you could you don't even have to, even if you don't remember the place that I said that you could go to, you could just simply type in the organization's name in Google along with 990. And it will take you back to the place where their 990 is housed. And there you could see the list of different organizations or initiatives, programs that they funded within that fiscal year. And I actually take it a step further to actually take a look at the years before. What other you funded these organizations before this year? What organizations did you fund the year before and the year before that? Because that helps me to see a trend. Being that they don't have a website, this allows me to see, okay, I am a social justice organization, but I see that on their 990 for the past 3 years, 90% of their giving went to education institutions or early childhood education even. So that way you could recognize that just like this here, you may not be directly aligned with their given priorities. The worst thing that you could do is to just go in cold and spend all of that time submitting for a grant that you are not directly aligned with, nor have you connected with the individual and developed some sort of relationship to see if you could possibly get closer to being rewarded an opportunity through that organization. Is there some type of cycle or something that I could follow? Yes. There is what we have here. Is what we call a fundraising cycle. Sorry, y'all, I'm trying to fix my chair. It's the fundraising cycle. And this applies whether or not you are working with trying to get funding from a foundation, individual, corporation. It's the same process. And that the cycle first starts, and it's called a cycle because you start with 1, you go down to 5, but you start all over again. And so you start off with identifying your prospects. Who are the people that will donate to your mission, your organization? Identify those people or the foundations. And there are different ways that you could do that. Like I said, if it's individuals, definitely work through your relationships. For foundations and corporations, sometimes I know that for the corporations, they're like the foundations, their giving priorities are listed, or sometimes you may see articles pop up at different times throughout the day or throughout the year that this particular organization gave to a mission that is so close to what it is that you're doing. Or even if you have a church and you realize that this same organization gave $1 million to a church that serves the same target population as you and looking to do a lot of the same things as you do, you might want to list them down as a prospect. For foundations, ways that you can find out who those prospects are if you don't come across something just organically, there are different platforms that help you with that. And so some of them, most of them, you actually have to pay. You could always do a good old Google search. Google is one of my best friends, so you could go in there and check out, see what she says. But there's also the Foundation Center online. I know at one point they had a facility. I'm not sure if they still have facilities anymore, but I've always been a virtual person before we tapped into COVID. I've always been seeking out ways to get what I need online. And so Foundation Center online, they allow you to search by mission. They allow you to, well, by like, almost like how you could do tags and things like that. And through social media, you could search by the cause. You could search the specific foundation name in there. You could search by the city or state that you may be located in, or country, because there are national funders and things like that. So that's a resource you could check out there. There are some even fundraising or nonprofit CRM system type systems that have prospect research elements associated with them. The one that I use for my organization is Flux Grants. That's FLUXX grants. And we're still new. We just started using it this year, but there is a tool built in there as well that you could search for grants the same way that you would, like I just mentioned, in Foundation Center online or Google. But the difference between Google gives you everything, but these platforms, they give you a lot more specific information, and they sort it in easy ways for you to be able to compile different lists and for you to be able to download the 990s from those sites as well. The next part of the process, after you've identified who are the people that will most likely give to my mission, the next step in the process is to cultivate and involve them. And so through this process, I would say, think of building genuine relationships. And so if we're going to go back to the top, to the foundation, a foundation that you haven't had any encounter with, I would say, if you have board members, circulate a list or have a conversation at your next meeting to see if anyone knows anyone connected with this particular foundation, because the foundations also have a board or trustees, and they work in some cases in different places as well. So one foundation may have someone that works at Coke or something like that. It varies. But if you share this list with your board, then maybe we could see, does anyone know anyone that is affiliated with someone that's on the board of this organization? Because if so, you want to start cultivating relationships with that person. You're not going to give the grant directly or submit it. You may not submit it directly to that person, but they will help to give you advice in the process, and it may help in the selection process as well if you have already cultivated this relationship. And not only that, a part of building genuine relationships, the ways that I've done it, because I'm already a personable person, whether it's business or nonprofit, I want you to be on board with what it is that I'm doing. I don't, if you're going to give, I know a lot of people want to get something out of it. So I want you to be able to see what it is that we're doing. And so the way that I also build relationships are sharing volunteer opportunities with these people. After you've identified who they are, if you have a way to get in contact with them, you can share information with them about what's going on with your organization. And then throughout the year, if you have volunteer opportunities, that's a good way to get them to come in, understand your mission, see that you're not just asking for money and you're putting this money to good use, you're making an impact. It helps you so much when it's time to actually submit that grant. And so again, I follow this cycle. I know corporations, a lot of the times they volunteer before they give. It's easier to get volunteers than their gifts. But even if you don't have the person that's over the actual grant funding process at the corporation, the information gets passed up. And even in the application process, they say, are you affiliated with the organization in any way? Have we, who recommended you or who referred you? You would have already been able to tap into that if you've engaged their organization or foundation in some sort of capacity. And so the next step after that, make the ask, solicit that gift, because now you know that they're interested in your mission. You've helped them to see what it is that you're doing and the impact that you are creating in this world. Make that ask. And this is number 3, because you are more likely to get a grant or get a gift once you know 1 and 2. When you go in cold, it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed anyway, but you are more likely to be in the running if you've been through steps 1 and 2. Same thing with individuals. Sometimes if you don't understand anything about someone or you don't know them from anywhere and you just walk up, say, hey, can you support my cause? I mean, the chances are they may or they may not give. However, if you went into Starbucks and you recognize that this person is sitting with a group of children and they're coaching them and talking to them, and you decided this person actually, they work at Starbucks and they're taking a break to do this coaching thing with the kids, and you know you have a nonprofit that supports children in some capacity, and you decide you just want to share information because you see their face every time you go into Starbucks, you know that they support children in some capacity, you've engaged them with your organization, you may have a higher likelihood of, you know, getting them to support you now versus just walking up to them and you're doing something that's not aligned with anything that you even know that they care about at all. And you just want the money. And so I would say, think about doing steps 1 and 2 before you get to soliciting the gift, and then acknowledge. Let's not fall off after we get the money, because this person, like, you got the money and now you're gone. Let's not be gold diggers here, okay? These people can continue to, whether it's individuals or foundations, corporations, there are a lot of these funders in general that support organizations that they know are making an impact and are being good stewards of their gift. So after they've given to you, first of all, try to say, be sure to say thank you. Acknowledge their gifts, send out a thank you letter. For me, I set up a time frame in which I will always send out thank yous. So for me, I send them out within 24 to 48 hours all the time, no matter the size of the gift. And like I said, our organization budget is over 2 million. So we have, it's not even like it's just one letter here, one letter there. There are a number of letters, and I still have different things going on, but the donors, like some of you have said, it's tough to do this by yourself. You can't do it without them. Take the time, stop what you're doing to say thank you, whatever that looks like. You may create some sort of template and sign it, or whatever the case may be. You may have different practices in place depending on the size of the gift. And once it reaches a certain size, you may say, hey, this thank you needs to be a little bit more special. Not that you need to spend the size of the gift that they gave you to say thank you to them, because to me, that's not being, seriously, that's not being a good steward of a gift that they gave you. So for instance, I was a part, I don't know if I shared the story, but one organization that I know that I will let remain anonymous, I'll say that, they got to give, well, someone donated the time to do like a website. And for them, they thought the thank you would like needs to be big and grand. To me, it just needs to be thoughtful. But to give like a gift card of $500 or something like that, you could have paid to get a website. So that didn't save you. If you have the money to give them back $500, you could have paid to get a website. So what are you doing with your money is how I would look at it. Are you being a good steward of your gift? No. But in your process of saying thank you, just be thoughtful, or have put some sort of system in place. Like it could be something, if they give, if they're like one of the top 5% donors, and so let's say you usually get $100 and this person gave $2,000, you may want the board members or the president just to even give a call and say, hey, thank you so much, we appreciate your gift. Or have a letter that the entire board, or a card that the entire board sign. The biggest thing is not how much you spend on saying thank you, but it's that you say thank you. You don't get the gift and disappear. And then steward that thank you. So still stay in their face. Let them see what you're doing with the money that they gave you. And so if they gave you money, and these women are now able to get mammograms, those very same people, I know you're trying to get additional donors, but go back to these people that gave you money, and you're not asking them for money right now, but you want to say, thank you for your gift. You're reaching out another time to say, this is what your donation did. Thank you so much again. And if you want to say thank you again, that's up to you, but continue to show them what their gift has done, the impact that they made in supporting your organization, because by the time it comes around again, sometimes they may invite you to apply. Sometimes they may reach out to you and say, hey, we just want to check in and see what's going on because we want to know if you guys need support again, because you have been keeping them connected to the organization, versus if you got the money, ran away, and all of a sudden, you know that you applied to them in August, a year came around or 2 years came around, and you're like, oh, let me go reach out to them for some more money. You could do that. But what I'm saying is that doing this, going through this cycle, will help you save so much time. It will help you with the length of the relationship that you can have with the organizations, the corporations, the individuals that donate to your mission. And so after you get to 5, you just start it all over again. It's a cycle. Fundraising plan tips. And so just like I talked to you about the case plan and strategic plan, you could set a plan in place for your fundraising efforts. Planning is everything. You heard me continue to say plan, 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 because in my mind, there's a saying, and it's always stuck with me. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And once you create these plans, they guide your effort, and you don't necessarily have to wake up and keep trying to figure out what I'm gonna do next, what we're gonna do now, or what's gonna happen. Yes, things happen. Look, COVID-19 happened, and you still have to shift and figure out and maybe even put a plan in place at that point in time. But things don't happen every single day. So in terms of like your fundraising plan, I would say one tip is to be sure to set a goal, set a financial goal for how much it is that you want to raise funds for, and then determine how you want to get it. So we talked about all the different sources of giving, the highest sources of giving for 2019. And again, I'll tell you, because I looked at the year before, the numbers shifted slightly, but they're still in the same order in terms of who gives the most. I would say not even just me saying, there's tons of research that says to diversify your efforts. So in planning, yes, you may want to apply for a grant or two, or whatever the case may be. Just remember, applying for certain grants may take a lot of time and you may not get it. So if you put all of your buckets in the basket of just getting a grant or 2 grants and you get neither, what happens to, the money that you needed to bring in for the year? You ended up making it through the year with nothing. And you spent so much time and effort, or even paying a grant writer to do it. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to get it either. Or even if you get it and you put put everything in the bucket of grants, what happens when COVID-19 happened? And people have to shift their priorities, or the government say, hey, we're going to pull funding here. But your entire organization was set on the grants from this particular foundation or this particular government grant. If that is all your organization is really, if that's the foundation of your giving, you may want to rethink that. Again, best practices is to diversify. So think about, as you're planning in your fundraising efforts, how much do I want to get from even individuals then? What are our efforts going to be? Are we going to see what Coca-Cola may be giving, or Georgia Natural Gas, what they may be giving? How much effort are we going to put in these different places? But plan forward and diversify. Don't just go for grants alone. And so that is all that I have today. The next thing, this is really just my contact page, how you could contact me. This is my email. My Facebook, my personal Facebook on Facebook and Instagram is Anita A. Douglas. My business Facebook and Instagram is CIBS Assist. And I also want to invite you all to my 5th year anniversary celebration, which is next week, Saturday, the 27th at noon. And so let me tell you, I know that Pastor Victoria told you a little bit about our virtual assistant company. And so we support, we offer 15% discounts to nonprofits because, like I said, I am very passionate about helping you all to accomplish your mission. I'm very passionate about giving back to the community and making an impact. And we cannot do everything by ourselves. Whether or not you get a grant writer, or even if you could hire somebody full-time, even if you have one full-time person, that one full-time person can't do everything. And so I would say even the place that I work at now, currently, I was a virtual assistant for that company for probably about 2-3 years, helping with the fundraising processes. And so there are certain things that you can hand over to your virtual assistant to help you with. And that, I would say, one of the things that I helped with at that time was prospect research. So the prospect research is searching for those people and organizations that may give to your mission. And that could be looking through those different platforms, those paid platforms, or Google, like we talked about, doing the search and compiling lists of who those organizations and people may be. That may be in doing the thank you letters. Remember, I told you that you got to stop and whatever you're doing to say thank you. You could use a virtual assistant to say thank you. You could help them, they could help you, in different parts of that fundraising cycle, and stewarding, and also cultivating and engaging your donors. You have the information and you pass it over to this person and say, hey, can you help me just follow up with this person? Can you do a little research for me? Can you help me to schedule a meeting or facilitate this conversation? And so, not to go off too far into this space of virtual assistant services, but because I know and I understand that nonprofits themselves, they have the least amount of money in the broader spectrum and the most work to do. The most impactful work to do. You cannot do everything yourself, and you do need to use your time wisely. And even if you don't get a virtual assistant, I would say take time to do some of the things that I mentioned earlier, which is to just really plan. And that's all that I have today. Do we have any questions?
Thank you so much. Yes, so we want to open up. I'm going to go ahead and just unmute. If you have, you're welcome to unmute yourself. If you have background noise, please be aware of that. But we want to open up to see what questions you have. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. So questions. You can raise your hand. You can put it in chat, however you'd like to do that. We've got a few more minutes left.
Hi, this is Janet White. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Janet.
Okay. I'm the mother. So,
Hey, Mama.
all this.
Actually, she actually messaged me.
Did she? I guess she would make sure I get on, right? But it's also overwhelming, and I'm gonna try to do the best I can to help her. And I'm in Michigan, so I was when you say diversify, and don't always depend on grants, and that was in my mind, depending on grants. So how do you go about that? If you concentrate on trying to get a grant, and then go somewhere else at the same time and try to get money maybe from a foundation. I'm just, it's in my mind. I'm sure she probably would understand, but I just need some more clarification when you're saying diversify.
Yes. So this will help a lot, I guess, when you pull up probably like a fundraising plan template. And so what you would do is determine how much effort you're going to give to each bucket, pretty much, or how much money do you want to at least raise from, you know, foundations, if you're going to do planned giving, or corporations, individuals, and some people even put in events. But you just have to be, my goal today was to let you know what is kind of required of these different sources. And as an organization, you have to determine how much time and resources do you have to kind of dedicate to diversifying this pool. How much, like, what would be the best use of your time to, even if you say it may be for your organization that you want to get the bulk of your money, or say you want to get 60% from individuals, and, you know, a 30% from foundations, and 10%, you know, from corporations. You figure out what effort would you want to put in into achieving those things on the front end. And then when you're doing, for me, when I build out my calendar, like when I'm doing the first step of the fundraising cycle, which is identifying prospects, I identify prospects, like the amount of time that I spend on identifying prospects is really based on how much time I decided that I wanted to spend in each bucket for fundraising efforts. And then I put it on my calendar. So you start organizing. So if you say you're going to apply for foundations for a certain amount, you know, you will then look for organizations. For me, when I'm thinking about, when you diversify, I'm thinking about, okay, how can I get the best bang for my buck? So if I'm looking for 10,000 from foundations, I'm not going to really spend most of my time looking for $300 grants, and, you know, because that's going to take up a lot of your time. Before you know it, that's all of your time. I would start then looking, if you're not going to spend, if your whole fundraising strategy is not going to be grants, then I would utilize that time wisely. If I'm looking for grants, I would look for larger grants and see what they require. Identifying the prospects, going through for each one that you say that you're going to use as a part of your strategy. Now you're spending time and seeing what do they require. And I plan out on the front end. When I'm looking for foundations and corporations, I usually do that in my summer months. And then I see like how much, like what's the max that they give. And then I also, like, in researching each individual organization, like I talked about the 990, you can see the average that they may give to an organization that is similar to yours. And you could then kind of pencil them in as a prospect for $5,000 because they gave to, you know, like 5 organizations similar to yours, and that was their average gift. Not that you're going to get it, but you're going to spend your time on those larger gifts then, so that you could achieve that goal if it's not going to be a big part of your pie. And then if you're diversifying and individual giving is a big part of your pie, how much money do you want to raise from individual gifts? And what will your strategy be to connect with individuals? So again, like I said, you would start with your board. How much is your board giving, right? This helps to cut down on your efforts because you created that goal of how much you want to raise. How much is your board giving? How much can your board help you to get? And also, what other connections do yourself and your board have to be able to engage individuals? People are utilizing so many different efforts now and engaging individuals on through different crowdfunding efforts, through these virtual platforms, doing different webinars and things like that, because the cost is low and the return is high. And so trying to find ways to do that. I know that there are a lot of organizations that use signature events and things like that to be their fundraiser, but just be mindful, if that is going to be a large part of your individual giving effort, that also takes a lot of time. And to be able to get the biggest return, you want to get as much donated as possible. So I think in planning strategically about diversifying, you just have to figure out like what you already have in place to help you to pursue these different sources, and how much time you may have to be able to do that. Because to wake up and say, okay, this year we're going to get all grants. What happens if you don't put the necessary things in place to help you to efficiently and effectively apply for grants and you don't get any? You know? Whereas even if you had something set up, if it was only for the board to give, right? Only for your board of directors to give $100 a piece, and you have 10 board members. There you have, if nothing else, even if you didn't get a grant, now you have at least $1,000 in your account for your organization. If nothing else, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean when I'm saying to diversify.
Okay. It's very clear. You've really clarified it for me, because diversify, of course, you have to get different organizations help, and how much time do you actually want to put into working with one particular organization. And I agree with you. Individuals, to me, seem to be the best choice. If it works, you get individuals. Nowadays, you guys have, what is it called? What they call a fund me. And I don't know what it's actually called.
But the greatest thing about individuals, just like, individuals, these same individuals can work at foundations there, but the individuals are the people that will advocate for you and will be the people that would say, okay, we want to fund again next year, or we want to come back next year, and things like that, because you've established a relationship with the individual versus a piece of paper or being a number in a pool, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome, Mama.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much once again to our host and also our presenter. But with my organization, I'm going to shed a different light on the statistics that you had. I think is the second slide or something like that. I think that's the one that you have there. I would want to say to you that I would roughly say 69% of our funding is from donors. It is a challenge to get our local corporates to donate to something like what we are doing for our young people, because of a culturally accepted stigma from persons, which says the young people needs to get up and go look what to do. Now, when you have that mentality and you have to approach our local corporate, it's kind of difficult. I must say they would assist in terms of an internship opportunity for free labor, which is also still a cost to them. But when it comes to the financial component, very minimal. And then you hit another key in terms of—
Well, I will say that, Patricia, that you align what you just said. Look at this graph right here. It directly aligns with what this graph is saying. Individual donors are the people that will give.
Okay. On the other hand, when we look culturally at fundraising, we look at an activity that is going to generate immediate funding. So let me take you to one of our highlights every year, but due to COVID last year and also this year, we are unable to put it on. It's called Farm to Table. Farm to Table is something that we collaborate with our farmers, both livestock and vegetable farmers, and we come up with an event, a luncheon, 3-course luncheon, that we collaborate with our hotel top chefs. And this is what our highlight was for the past 5 years. However, COVID causes us now not to be able to have more than 10 persons. How do you handle something like that? I hope it's not a difficult one for you.
Well, I can't give you the roadmap, because COVID really transformed things for a lot of organizations, but that goes back to exactly what I said before about making sure that you diversify, right? Because if you put everything into this special event,
right,
and COVID happens, you're kind of, but if you already had a plan in place, or even like some type of model, some people have it where people could donate monthly to their cause. So you got somebody to buy in and give $25 today. I think it's proven, and research proves that usually people can give even up to 4 times more than what they actually give.
Okay.
So imagine if not only are you working on this event and COVID happens, but then you have a pool of people that are giving $25 every month or 4 times a year. That's money that's just coming in that you didn't have to go out and spend so much time on the phone talking to someone about vendors and sending a trillion emails, but you've kept these individuals engaged, and the money is just kind of on autopilot. And of course, for your organization, all of this will be determined based on your large amount. I said $25, but it depends on who your individual pool is, and where you invest your efforts. When you think about diversifying, for me, I always think about just getting the best bang for the buck. And so if we go back to thinking about the individuals, your event went down, do you have like some type of giving plan or anything in place for your board currently? Because you said immediate, but if you have some type of plan for the board, like that money could already or still be in the account.
Okay, well, I made a note of that particular point because our board is a volunteer board. So there would be, let's say, 2% of the board who would donate something on a monthly basis. And that 2%, when we look at it and do an investigation, is basically persons who are actually retired. So the younger version of the board is not that of that percent, But now you say it, you mention it, it is something now for me to be able to bring up in a board meeting, because it is something that is going to be very critical at this point, because COVID is going to be here for a while, and we cannot always say, blame COVID. Okay, so now that COVID brought on that challenge, how are we going to address it? And I like the term diversification. And that is something that we would want to zero in on in our next opportunity meeting with the board. Absolutely. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, Patricia. So as you're thinking about even your board now, you gotta have most boards are volunteer boards, right? Most of them are volunteer. I think they're probably more so like the foundation, like the huge foundations that have paid board members or trustees. So most of the times they volunteer, but the people that you want to align with your mission, this is a business move too. Because not only, you could always get volunteers or people to support, but you have to, even in thinking financially, you want people that could help to move your mission forward in the best way possible. So even if they can't even give a lot of money, what cost can they help you to cut in the things that you may need to do throughout the year? So is it marketing? Are you an organization that needs to market but is struggling to market? Get a marketing professional on your board. They may not, even if you don't feel comfortable with asking, which I don't, for the board, I feel like my personal opinion, they all should give in some capacity. Yes. And even if they can't personally give, financially help to get, but also think about the resources that you could get from them as well to cut costs in other areas when things like COVID happen. So the things that you generally do, whether it be marketing, whether you have somebody that has a virtual assistant company that could get people that may be able to donate some time, or get people that are resourceful on your board that can help to cut costs and also bring in money. And bringing in money, like I said, it doesn't always mean that everybody has to. I've seen boards where people give $1,000. You may not always have to. That may not have to be your number. It could be $50. It could be $100. But think about this. Like I said before, these foundations, they want to know what your board is doing, because the expectation is that they are the closest people to your
Yeah.
organization, they should believe in your mission, and they're not just your friends, the people that you just want to be, hey, yay, nay, because at the end of the day, that's where you find issues when it's time to get things done, because they're just there to show support or be there for you. But you may have an ineffective board meeting, or you had a board meeting and by the time you come back, nothing was done. I mean, so you want people that believe in your mission so much so that they are going to give however they can give. And so even if they decide, if you don't even have to make a general amount for everyone. What I learned in a few of my classes is you could approach everyone on your board individually, see where they are. If you decided that you're going to do a give and get, see where everybody is individually. If that appeals to your heart a little bit more, one person may not be able to give more than $50. And even in that, they could probably give 25 in the first half of the year and 25 in the second half of the year. But now you got $50, whereas you never asked and you got nothing. You understand? And it's not like you're taking for them. You should be unapologetic in asking your board, because they should believe in your mission as much as you do.
Thank you. So true. Thank you very much.
And I wanted to say two things came to mind, June, when you were sharing what you did. One is, I'm just reminded of a program, and I think it's called Feed the Hungry, but I'm not sure. But they advertise constantly, and I don't want to make an inappropriate comparison, but organizations that are wanting you to, like the Humane Society, save the animals. One of the things they do is they share a stat like, it takes us $23 a month or $10 a month to save an animal. Why don't you adopt one? And so the same thing for Feed the Hungry. So I don't know exactly how your programs are working, because we just kind of talked, but perhaps you have an idea. It takes us $20 a month to train one youth or one individual in this area. And you may set up some type of program where people all over might simply adopt a youth. And so whether it's $20 a month or $10 a month, that becomes ongoing income you have, and has to be, of course, coupled with what Anita was saying about is sending back, whether it's pictures or images or stories that shares, you have adopted this youth or adopted this program, whatever it is, and here are the results of what we're doing. The other thing I want to say to you is that nonprofits, churches, all over the world have had to shift because of this pandemic. So to me, I see an opportunity for you to expand what you're doing in your organization and to expand your board. So I kind of got a sense of what you were saying. I have a volunteer board. They're all over here. We're all facing an economic crisis over here. Well, who says all of your board members have to be over there where you are? Oftentimes, our boards can take on two assignments, for lack of better words. You may have your working board, which is your physical board that's there, but then you may have another advisory board or board of directors that could be anywhere in the world. And so because of that, they could be anyone, and they could be privy to having all types of personal economic situations. Now, what I noticed from your website last night, and I shared this with you, the fact that you all are training people, young people, and I don't know what your age delineation is, the fact that you are training them to work with their hands and skills. I'm telling you, I've seen it so many places on LinkedIn and on the internet, and there is a recognition, especially in the Black community now, that we kind of let that slide as we began pushing our kids toward college and university. Nothing wrong with college and university, but where are our people that know how to do our trades, whether it's welding, whether it's mechanic stuff, whatever that is, and things that allow them quickly also, I think, to be entrepreneurial, right? So what I'm saying to you is I'm seeing this come up, and I kind of shared that with you, all over social media. So that tells me there's a ringing in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So that tells me you getting your organization out beyond where you are,
Right.
what you're doing, looking at this model, that you will probably have people that will be willing to invest in it. So I would say, are you out on LinkedIn? You know, where are you looking for your investors? And you putting that out there, I'm telling you, it got me right away, because it's something we've been discussing here in Riverdale, Georgia. You know, so
Okay, well,
it's
See, you hear that?
expanding.
You hear that? You're listening to somebody who's saying that
yes,
what she do
definitely.
clearly directly aligns with something that touches her spirit. You know what that
Mhm.
Yes.
Start that
Yes.
fundraising cycle.
Yes, thank you,
Yes.
thank you. I mean, I briefly, as Pastor would have just mentioned, we just briefly spoke. I mean, for me, Pastor, I'm an evening person. So if you push me and we have to talk about something important that's going to benefit my organization, I am for it. I don't have a problem with that. But our age group is 17 to 35. What we had to do after COVID was to shift it a bit, because persons now over the age of 35 into their 50s are now unemployed, underemployed, you know, that kind of thing. So we had to shift our training to integrate that group as well. But now you said global outreach, that's diversification. We're going to roll with that. So my board now would have to work for that. We do also have something, an initiative called Sponsor a Trainee. We had started that. As I said, COVID was really banging us, because, you know, training is dependent on in-class training. And a lot of these young people are vulnerable. You know, they have challenges at home, their background, you would not want to know the places you have to go just to get them into where they belong. However, we have to ensure that we get them where they're supposed to be.
Yes.
So we try as much as possible when we have our training, especially in entrepreneurship, to get mentors who are outside of Antigua. That's a database I'm still working on, because it just still needs developing. But I mean, this forum, if you're willing to be a mentor for any one of our young women, but of course, I would welcome that, because we need to collaborate and do a different shift to how we have been doing things before. So I appreciate the comments and the suggestions. I really, really am elated to be here today. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And then I would also say that, you know, as you collaborate, there are grants that fund collaborations as well. So even, you know, for some people who may think this may be too much, or I can't get all of these things in place, we're at zero. Maybe you're offering services now, and there may be another entity that may have these different things in place that you could collaborate with, and you could receive funding for a partnership.
That's good to know.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for maybe one other question. Do we have anybody else? Any other questions? This is so good, y'all. Come on, Nakia.
Let me unmute. Coming under the leadership of Anastasia Lewis, I do recognize the need to be global. And that is my focus, because you all, I just told you my background story, so things are really bad here as well. And whilst I first going off, a lot of the business houses here are willing to help, but you can't rely on them long term. They will give you the platform to launch yourself and get out there. All right. So I don't have this magical 5013C. I do not know what that entails. And in the long run, dealing with the IRS, that will all be new to me. So how do I first start that relationship? How do I maintain that relationship with the IRS? If you could help me with that. Where do I start? Like, who should I go to help me or to guide me through getting that process done? And then, like, what are the requirements on a year-to-year basis in order to maintain?
Okay, with that one, we may have to follow up with a document that pretty much outlines that, but I would say that there are different organizations. I just don't know as much. I know more locally than where you are, but I know even locally, there are organizations that pretty much take you from you're a baby to be able to offer different workshop sessions for not only you, but you may start the session and go for like maybe your board or 3 or 4 people to be able to come with you and walk you through different processes. So even my organization has been in existence for the one that I do fundraising for 44 years. And when I came in, we didn't necessarily have a official fundraising plan or a marketing plan. And we went to here, we have what the Georgia Center of Nonprofits, and they have workshops that help you to, they actually walk you through the process. They have different consultants that walk you through the process. And sometimes organizations like that, because they get funding, they offer it at a free or reduced cost. And then there are a number of different entities that do the same thing. So I would say seek some type of like full support guidance on like the foundation of doing or starting the process. And I would say for me, that was helpful because I had a lot of knowledge, but certain things, just applying it, I needed help with. And so they were able to kind of guide you through every part of the process. We talk through it, and then you also sit in a room with other people that are doing the same thing, and they're at different levels in their journey. And so again, I would say not to let any of that stop you. I applaud you for doing so much without even having all of that. And that just proves like you're resourceful. And so where you are, figure out where those places are that can provide that information. I mean, we're in a virtual world now. So I would honestly, even if it's not there, I'm sure there's so many, even you could probably check the website that the organization that I named, Georgia Center of Nonprofits. See if they're
I put that
offering
link in
virtual,
the chat as well.
see if they're
I did
offering
write it
anything
down.
virtual that may be helpful.
Yeah.
But they offer, a lot of organizations offer like courses, not like you're going back to school course, but a course that helps you to get the process done. Not learning this is what a nonprofit is, but we're here to do the strategic plan. This is a strategic plan 4-session course, and they come in, this is the first phase of the strategic plan, and they say your homework is to come back with these, this set of information. And it helps with accountability. It helps with guiding you and getting it done. Outside of that, I would say you could always Google. That's always my go-to for anything.
And I can share with you what my process was, Nakia. I hired a nonprofit professional that specialized in helping you to write your 501 and helping you with the application. During the window that I came in, the federal government had changed and all of a sudden created a 1-page nonprofit application. And I just, a blessing. I came in that window, filled out that 1 page, but it was still some questions on there I was not sure of. So I went to a nonprofit professional. She helped me, got the nonprofit in, I don't know, 8 days. It was so quick. However, what she also did was still filled out the complete, 30-page application, did all the associated documents for me so that I had gone through the processes of answering all the questions like Anita shared today. And I have those documents now. So number one, I realized it wasn't something I wanted to do, but I think that application is like, isn't it like 30 pages? And it's long.
It was long, yeah.
It's a long application. And but here, let me say, because I don't want to see discouragement on your face. The things that we don't think we need to know, that we don't think we have time to do and think about, yes, you do, because you are going to be asked for these things, either by somebody you're applying to for a grant, or maybe even a just very wealthy individual who wants to donate, but they want to see that you know your stuff and you need, and you've done your work. So it's not just that you have a valid need or mission, but they want to know who you are. Who am I getting ready to give this $3 million to? And they want to know that either you have business acumen, I think that's the word, or that you have connected yourself with others that can help dot the I's and cross the T's, right? So even that process helped me think about things that I didn't even know I needed to think about. And when we're very passionate, I can look at you and tell right now, I know how passionate you are about what you're talking about. When we're very passionate, we can become so laser focused on what we're passionate about that we forget the other parts that are just as important. So number one, finding a nonprofit professional to help me with the application and work through the process was a necessity for me. The second thing that I did was what Anita said. I joined the Georgia Center for Nonprofit, and I actually got memberships for the other two people that were on my board. This particular organization has all types of classes, free and otherwise. So the free classes tell you about going in, tell you about filling out the application. And I have no idea whether it is the same in other states or countries, but this is where a nonprofit professional can perhaps help. And I am going to connect you with the person that I used here. And I know a couple of other people here that kind of do this, walk with folks on applications. So I'm going to connect you there. The other thing I did, though, was the Georgia Center for Nonprofit has a 5-class program. I think it was about $500-600 that I paid for it, that took me at a high level through every part of leading a nonprofit, right? Because it's not just having your hands on, for example, giving those mammograms, but how do you lead this thing? So I had to understand everything that Anita was talking about today. I had to understand fundraising. And one of the things that surprised me the most when I took the class, such as what she gave today, which is just so amazing and on target, was that individuals were your number one givers. In my mind, I thought, I need to get grants. I need to go out there and get to foundations. I had no idea that individuals give the bulk of money to churches as well. I had no idea. And so I took that class probably 5 years ago, and the stats were about exactly what you shared today, Anita. So people do give, but people still want to know in some of the same detail. Who am I giving to? What are you all doing with the money? What's happening? What's the lay of the land? Am I going to give you $5,000 this year, and then because you didn't keep records up next year, all your programs, nothing's funded, and everything kind of goes down the drain? So we need the help in learning to lead. So my thinking is going to Google to understand in the Bahamas, and you're from and I think you told me the Bahamas, is that right, Nakia?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Correct.
getting ready to go to Google, and I'm getting ready to search on establishing a nonprofit organization in the Bahamas. And I'm trying to see what comes up there. And then I would also, like I say, touch bases with the consultant that helped me here, because her background was, before doing this, she worked for the federal government in the area where they approved and denied and kept up with nonprofits. So getting someone to walk with you, and this means you needing to invest, right? And you investing in your growth as leading this nonprofit is going to be just as important as what I know you have probably invested financially in just trying to get women to get their mammograms. So it's not either or, it's both and. And so I'm going to make those connections for you, connect you with a couple of people, get out, find a few things that I can find myself I can also tell you two of the other events that we're going to have for third Saturdays at the
Now, also,
ARC.
before you go there, Pastor Victoria, I
Mhm.
want to say something real quick.
Yeah.
You mentioned the rate, the price of Georgia's Center of Nonprofits, but they also offer for those series class, they also, most of them, they offer scholarships that may not
Mhm.
get all discounted to free, but possibly some, like even half taken off of
Excellent.
the registration amount. So I would say to look into that. And I will piggyback off of what you mentioned in terms of doing both. You need to make this, you know, the certain investments that you have to invest into your nonprofit as a line item on your budget, not just the things that you're
Yes.
doing for the community, because these are the things that is going to strengthen the organization and take it to a whole nother level and help you to be able to get what you need on a different level and serve at a greater capacity. And the
Yes.
last thing that I had to share was a testimonial in terms of utilizing this fundraising cycle and individuals during even COVID for our organization. Although we're diversified, we're very connected to the individuals, even at the foundations that we are receiving funding from. Remember, I talked to you about how we got there by connecting to the individuals. And so when COVID hit, because these people, even when certain people are cutting their budgets, there's still people with money that want to give what they got to
Yes.
be able to help other people. We can't say everybody's broke and everybody's not doing nothing. There are people out there that even if they say, I made $2,000 this week and I know that somebody made nothing and I would love to even just give 50.
Mhm.
There are people that want to make an impact. During this
Yes.
time, in stewarding gifts that we got from these individuals and the foundations and corporations before, we just sent updates on what's happening during COVID for our organization. We were still doing, we didn't stop working because also people they don't really want to fund if you close shop. They want to know,
Right.
what is it that you're doing? What did you do with the funds I gave you? What are you guys doing? Right? We stayed connected with them and they ended up, I think in the span of less than 30 days, in just sending the updates, we received donations that exceed $150,000.
Wow.
And that's just updates. And so that's staying connected with them. But if you was somebody that got the gift and they hadn't heard from you in 2 years, I mean, you coming back is just like, okay, that's work for them. They also have to go see what else you've been doing or whatever the case may be. But we're connected and connecting via email on first name basis. And it's not a big fancy presentation or formal flyer newsletter with all branding colors. It's literally just a typed out email directed to those individuals that we connected with on the foundation level, corporation level, or just individuals that we know. It's directed to them individually and saying, this is where we are. In some cases, it may not even be making an ask. But then when you do, it's not as hard because they know that you're somebody that has been a good steward of the gifts that they've given you. And that's no application in less than 30 days.
That's awesome.
So
Awesome. Awesome.
that's all that I have. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate you all for having me. I really enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing all the great things that's going to come out of all of the great work that you're doing.
I do too. I'm excited. So we're at 11:57. I'm going to go ahead. If you have any more questions, you can put them in the chat. I am saving the chat and we will try and reach back out to you. Make sure to follow up with everyone. The other two sessions that we are looking at having this spring are going to be one, doing a SWOT analysis for your organization. We work with a strategic consulting person that's out of California, Mr. Ricky Cornelius. He was a part of our leader camp this past year, and he's been working with me since January on my strategic maps and my SWOT analysis and all those things. And it just helps to get everything out of your head and on paper, so you don't have to walk around, trying to remember it all. But we're going to do that session. And then also we are going to do a session with a business consultant here in the Atlanta area where we talk about different forms of businesses, whether it's nonprofit, LLC, whatever, and how you establish those. So look for those couple of things to come. I am going to put my TAP bio in the chat. If you will, there we go. Wait a minute. I think I sent it directly to Anita. Let me send it to everybody.
And I realize my message directly to you too.
Right. If you click on this link that I just sent, you will be able to go out and to click on a link that says subscribe to our email list. I hope that you will do that so that you can know when our next sessions come along. And also, we want to always be aware of what your needs are. So if there are things in your business or your nonprofit that you really feel like you need to learn about, feel free to always reach out to us. Our website is in the chat as well, and I'll just put it again. You can reach out to us, send us some email, let me know so that we can work to schedule some of these things for you. Let me type this in without any spelling errors. Let me put my A in there. There we go. Okay. And we want to thank Miss Anita again. Thank you so much, man. So much information you shared. And I was so glad to be reminded of so many things that I need to really tighten up on. And it's ongoing. It's ongoing learning. But you have to be strengthened and built up as a leader, right? You have to be able to lead the organization and the mission and the vision that the Father has given to you, and build your teams to fill in the gaps where you have either weaknesses, because everybody's not strong in every area, and just understanding you cannot do everything yourself. So thank you for joining the session this morning. It has been a blessing. And I look forward to connecting with all of you all continually. And if we can be of assistance to you in any way at the ARC, again, just reach out through our website. There are connect forms and you can send us some email. We would love to hear from you. So everybody have an amazing day, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. All right. Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.